I will be quoting out of the book for the entirety of this film. I really dug deep and made sure I got every single quote that I could find about Oliver Wood, I found. Oliver Wood was born sometime between September of 1975 and August of 1976, and this is based off his Hogwarts years being 87 to 94. Blood status is unknown, and not much is known about his parents at all. We do know that Harry meets them at the 1994 World Cup Quidditch match, but we don't learn their names. We don't really learn anything about them. However, with some decent digging, Oliver Wood's family is distantly related to the Black family tree. So it's believed that there was a squib in the family, and that resulted in the Wood family tree splitting between magical and non-magical. And then somewhere, if I'm understanding the tree correctly, somewhere on that non-magical branch, another magical child was born to Muggle parents and developed a disdain for Muggles because they didn't like the magic. They didn't really go along with it. They were gardeners. The child was able to construct these rose bushes with his mind and make these really beautiful sculptures and things like that. So this child then goes off to Hogwarts and meets a daughter from the Black family tree who is also, I believe, disowned from the Black family tree, but they did share a disdain for Muggles. So I might actually do a sub video on this family tree connection. Moving on to the actual books, we do not know what really goes on in Oliver's first few years at Hogwarts. We do know that the year before Harry meets him in his 5th year, his 4th year, he was still the reserve for Gryffindor. So it's not like he was playing or doing too much. In Philosopher's Stone, we first meet Oliver Wood when Professor McGonagall pulls him out of Professor Quirrell's Defense Against the Dark Arts class to introduce him to Harry Potter after seeing Harry fly for the very first time and noticing the skill that he has passed down through his father. When McGonagall first tells Wood, "I found you a new seeker," he just thinks she's joking. He looks Harry up and down and he's like, "Are you kidding me? This is a child. Like, what did you bring me? I thought we were serious about this year." Now, mind you, Professor McGonagall cares very, very, very much about her Quidditch team. She was not able to look Snape in the eye for weeks after their last defeat, and the Gryffindor team has not won the cup in years, so they needed this badly. After Professor McGonagall explains Harry's dive and that it was something that Charlie Weasley himself could never do, and mind you, Charlie Weasley is somebody that Wood idolized in Quidditch. Wood went to school with Charlie for like 4 years and was on the Quidditch team with him and watched Charlie play and watched Charlie really make them succeed. And that was the last time that they had won the Quidditch Cup, was when Charlie was there. So the fact that Harry could do something that Charlie couldn't even do, what hit the light bulb went off on his head. His prayers have been answered. Wood was now looking as though all of his dreams had come true at once. It is in their first meeting that Oliver Wood suggests to Professor McGonagall the type of brooms that Harry should get, and lo and behold, Harry is in the Great Hall, and Owl brings him a Nimbus 2000. The broom does come with a note to open it in secret, not in the Great Hall where everybody can see it, because again, Harry's a first year, he's not supposed to be on the Quidditch team, he's not supposed to have a broom, and it also includes a note that his first practice will be at 7 p.m. that night with Wood on the pitch. So Harry gets to the pitch a little early, he starts flying around on his new broom to get a good feel of it, and Wood comes in, calls him down, and just really is taken aback. He's like, "Wow, McGonagall was right. You are a pretty good flyer. This might actually work." Let's explain the game of Quidditch. We have 7 players on both teams. Each team has a keeper. We've got 6 left. 3 of them are chasers. The chasers are trying to put the quaffle through the hoops that the keepers are protecting. Then there are 2 beaters. The beaters are Fred and George, that are also described as human bludgers by Oliver Wood himself. They go around keeping the bludgers from hitting the players. The bludgers literally go around just trying to knock players off of their broom, and the beaters go around with their clubs and beat them away from their players. Then we get to the Seeker, and we all know the role of the Seeker. Might be your favorite player. If you wanted to play Quidditch, what position would you play? If you're not a sports fan, that's totally fine. I was a huge sports fan, and honestly, reading through these Oliver Wood quotes was so triggering for all of my sports trauma. Like being woken up at 6 a.m. by a psychopath, I don't need to have that in my life anymore. Like, I know how that feels. While Wood is explaining the rules of Quidditch to Harry, he tries to compare it to basketball, and Wood just is like, "What are you talking about? And Harry's like, nothing, absolutely nothing. Don't worry about it. And I think it's really funny when the Muggleborns compare Quidditch to real sports. A couple of the other Gryffindor guys compare Quidditch to soccer, and Ron just gets so mad at them about it. That's, again, another story for another day. After the rules have been explained, Wood and Harry get up on their brooms, and Wood pulls out a bag of golf balls, like actual golf balls. And him and Harry fly up on their brooms, and Wood's just like chucking golf balls at him. Like, have you ever watched, I played lacrosse, so I know what it looks like for a goalie to be practicing with a smaller ball to work on their quick hands. And that is just literally what I imagine in this moment is my goalie training for a game or practicing and like warming up for a game. And it's just Wood pelting a Harry on a broom with golf balls. Harry caught none. Absolutely none. He didn't catch a single golf ball. He was, it didn't say he was struggling, but I can assume that he was like, this is new, this is weird, this is really hard. I can't, if I got put in a goal, I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't catch anything. Harry catches absolutely 0 golf balls, but Wood is delighted. He has the biggest grin on his face. He's had the best day ever. Moving forward, the Gryffindor Quidditch team had practiced 3 evenings a week on top of their class load. This wasn't all too much, but this is just the beginning for Wood. Oliver's incredibly clear that he wants Harry being the Gryffindor Seeker to be a secret. He wants it to be their secret weapon. Fred and George do know, because obviously the Gryffindor team has to know he's going to be at practice. When Fred and George tell Harry that they were just told by Wood that Harry was going to be on the Quidditch team, they said that Wood was practically skipping when he told them. Finally, we are on the day of Harry Potter's very first Quidditch game. He is super nervous. He does not want to eat breakfast. Seamus is not helping by saying that the Seekers are always the one that gets clubbed in the game. Oliver Wood is incredibly well known for his speeches, especially right before a game. His team knows the speech so well that as he's starting his very first speech, Fred and George take over because apparently it's just the same thing over and over and over and over again. Wood loves to talk. Wood then tells Fred and George to shut it. He continues on with his speech. He tells everybody good luck, and then he gives them this very menacing or else look. Like, good luck guys, we've got this, we're gonna win. Or else. This very first game is the game against Slytherin where Quirrell does charm Harry's broomstick, so that really is the main hubbub of this first Quidditch game. Everybody goes home for the holidays, and returning for second term, Harry says that Oliver has been working them harder than ever. Even the Weasleys described him. They were complaining that Oliver was becoming a fanatic. Every winter, it just becomes a slush of rain and snow, and the weather is just described as very disgusting, awful, gruesome, especially for an outdoor sport where you are flying through the air at such intense speeds. It's got to be freezing cold, but it is said that absolutely nothing was dampering Oliver's spirits. Even as Wood is just off his rocker to the rest of the team, Harry has his back. He's like, I want to beat Slytherin. I want to win this cup. We have a really good team. Harry's kind of on board with the crazy. Harry also said that he had a lot less nightmares when he was exhausted from training, so he didn't mind how much Oliver was working them and the extra practices and the really late nights on top of all the homework. He got a lot better sleep that way. So their next game was going to be against Hufflepuff, and if they beat Hufflepuff, then they would be placed higher than Slytherin for the first time in 7 years, I think. Rolling around to their next game against Hufflepuffs, this is the game where Snape is the referee, and nobody knows that Snape is on their side, so everybody is freaked out. Harry's freaked out. The trio is completely losing their minds that Snape is going to go after him. Wood's the same way, but he doesn't really care about Harry's well-being. He cares about Snape favoring Hufflepuff to get against Gryffindor. Wood's priorities are in a bit of a different place than Harry's, but nevertheless, nobody's happy that Snape's going to be the ref of this game. Right before they walk out onto the pitch for this game, Wood pulls Harry aside and he's like, hey, if we ever needed an early win, it's today. Get us off this field, catch that snitch fast. And they're like, yeah, no pressure. Sure. Outside of the Quidditch world, Harry and Hermione are still trying to get Norbert the Dragon to Charlie, and the night to do the switch off is coming up. Neville goes with them. Draco knows about the whole plan. He snitches. All 4 of them get detention and sent into the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid. Now, because of this, a combination of 150 points is taken from Gryffindor. Harry is beside himself. Hermione's losing her mind. Neville's destroyed. Draco's just pissed that he got in trouble too. 150 points have been taken from Gryffindor, and everybody is furious with the 3 of them. Nobody's talking to Harry. The Quidditch team won't even talk to Harry. Wood only cares about winning the next game to get those points back. Harry feels so bad about everything. Like, he feels so guilty and so remorseful that he himself goes to Wood and he's like, I resign. I don't deserve to be on the team. I disappointed everybody. And Wood's like, how are we supposed to get those points back if you're not on the team? You're not going anywhere. You're playing this game. We're getting those points back. Stop feeling sorry for yourself. Whereas the rest of the team just calls Harry the Seeker at practice. Now, because of the ending of Philosopher's Stone, Harry is unable to make it to their last match. So that is one of the worst defeats that Gryffindor has seen in many, many years. Wood is pissed. But yeah, we don't really hear much more about Wood and Philosopher's Stone, so we're gonna move on to Chamber of Secrets. We get through the world building of Chamber of Secrets, rolling around to Chapter 7. Harry is jolted awake by a fanatic Oliver Wood. He looks around, there's mist, there's barely any sunlight outside, it is cold in the dorm room, and Oliver Wood is bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go. And Harry's like, what's wrong? What's going on? Like, what's happening? And Wood's like, nothing, we're going to practice. It's 6 a.m. Let's go. Hurry up. You're late. He's like, 15 minutes? You can be ready in 15 minutes. Get your butt on that field in 15 minutes in the locker room. The whole team is like in the I know what it's like to be in a locker room before a 6 a.m. practice, and everybody's just like slouched on the couches. Nobody has their hair up in a ponytail yet. Nobody has their water bottles filled. Maybe one person is eating a granola bar and they don't even finish it. Like one person still has their eyes closed, waiting for the last second to open them. Like, nobody's happy about being there. Wood comes in like he's on something else. And he is excited, he's ready to go. He has spent his entire summer planning for this moment. Not too much of a physical description of Wood in the first book, but now we're finally getting a lot more details. Wood is now in his 6th year. He's described as tall and burly. He's also described as his eyes were gleaming with mad enthusiasm. He was so proud of himself that no other teams had started practicing. He was like, we're going to be the first ones out the gate. We're going to be the best team. This is our year. We're not going to let anything happen to us this year. Wood then whips out this like massive diagram, like this massive like map of the Quidditch pitch with all of these X's, arrows, plans, ideas, all of this stuff. And after he spends a very sufficient amount of time talking about this one board, he reveals a second board. And then a third board. He had 3 boards of plans. Yeah, after Wood finishes his diagrams, George goes, why couldn't you have told us all of this while we were awake yesterday? And Wood was pissed. After they had been in this locker room for long enough for the sun to fully rise, Ron and Hermione were in the stands with breakfast for Harry. They had missed breakfast in the Great Hall entirely. Everybody was hungry, tired, angry. They get out there, they get up on their brooms, they're flying around. Colin Creevey actually followed Harry from the dorm room to the Quidditch field just to ask him like 1,000,003 questions and try to get his autograph. Colin then stays in the stands the entire time the team is in the locker room and starts taking pictures of them practicing Quidditch. Wood is pissed. He thinks it's a Slytherin spy. He's like, he can't be taking pictures. He could be a Slytherin spy. And one of the Weasley twins is like, please calm down. They don't need a spy. They're actually here themselves. They look down at the field and Slytherin is marching their very prideful butts onto the field with their brand new Nimbus 2001s and their brand new Secret Malfoy, and we know what kind of travesty happens from there. It was the night before their first game of this season. It was against Slytherin, and Harry was up all night just thinking about what was going to happen and really just being afraid of disappointing Wood. In the locker room, Wood is going about his usual speech. It is quoted that his chest heaving with emotion. Wood turned to Harry. It'll be down to you, Harry, to show them that a seeker has something more than a rich father. Get that snitch before Malfoy or die trying, Harry, because we've got to win today. We've got to. And then Fred goes, no pressure, Harry. No pressure. Lo and behold, this is the game with the rogue bludger, thanks to our sweet, sweet friend, Dobby himself. It's raining, it is a nasty day. Wood is like, we have trained harder than them, we've trained in more weather types than them, like we've trained in every weather, we are ready for this game. Slytherin is not, even if they have better brooms than us. As the game is going, Angelina tries to score, but a bludger stops it. Fred and George are actually up in the sky with Harry trying to keep him safe from that rogue bludger because they notice it. George is waving his arms at Wood so Wood can call a timeout. Madam Hooch finally sees him, calls the timeout. Wood's like, what the hell is going on? Where are you guys? And they're like, dude, there's a rogue bludger trying to kill Harry. Like, maybe we should be concerned about that. Maybe we should be worried about that. Maybe we should stay on Harry because he is the seeker and he needs protection. And Harry's like, no, I've got this. You have to do other things. I'll never be able to get the snitch if you guys are right there next to me. Like, it'll never work. Like, I can handle the bludger on my own. Then George looks at Wood and he's like, this is your fault. You told him to die or to get the snitch or die trying. Like, he shouldn't have to do this. The whole team is against it. Harry's like, no, I've got this. I've gotten this. Pressure definitely on him. And Wood just looks at Harry, looks at the team, looks at Madam Hooch and goes, yep, we're good. Let's play the game. And so they just go back. He tells Fred and George to leave Harry alone. Harry goes out to get the snitch, and we just kind of hope for the best from there. Harry and Malfoy are just neck and neck, teasing and taunting each other. Harry is going after the snitch. He obviously, we know, breaks his arm. He does catch it. They do win the game. Wood is incredibly proud. He is looking at an injured Harry, grinning ear to ear. With their next match being against Hufflepuff, Wood has had the team out every single night after practice on the pitch training. The day of the game rolls around, Wood is ecstatic. The weather is perfect. It is sunny. There's a slight breeze. Nobody could be in a better mood than this man on this day. He is going around the Great Hall, going around the breakfast table, loading up everybody's plates with eggs. You gotta eat, you gotta eat, you gotta eat. He's hardly ever eats anything himself, but is always encouraging his team to eat, which is good. Like, that's a really good thing. Like, what you can't do for yourself, at least he's doing it for his team, I guess. Everything on the field was set up. The game was getting started. Everybody was actually on their brooms when McGonagall came out onto the field and was like, the match is canceled. Wood comes flying down to the ground. He doesn't even get off his broom. He starts sprinting at McGonagall, broom still between his legs, just sprinting at McGonagall. Like, what is happening? What's going on? Looking absolutely devastated. Dumbledore has left the school. Everybody is in danger. Everybody is terrified of this unknown monster that is plaguing Hogwarts right now. We're at the end of May and we're about 3 days out from exams. Professor McGonagall stands up in front of the Great Hall to make an announcement, and the only thing she gets out of her mouth is, I have great news. The entire hall erupts, everybody's screaming. Somebody's like, Dumbledore's coming back. Somebody's like, the monster has been captured. And then there's Wood. Quidditch is back on. So that's where his priorities are. Actually, the news was that Professor Sprout was almost done with the draft that was going to help the petrified students, and that everybody was going to end up okay very soon. So that is it for Quidditch in Chamber of Secrets. We're now moving on to Prisoner of Azkaban. This may be Harry's third year, but it is Oliver Wood's 7th and final year at Hogwarts. Wood calls a team meeting and he starts with what is described as a quiet and desperate voice. He is very solemn that it is his last year. He talks about how they have had just a string of one bad luck after the other. Again, with Harry being injured, gravely injured at the end of the year and unable to help the team in their final games. Wood does shift his energy from this solemn sadness to the old manic glint was back in his eyes. He then goes on to show his appreciation to each individual position, praising every single player he has, his chasers, his beaters, his seekers, everybody. The team is dedicated, the team is motivated, they are ready to go this year. And to start, like usual, they are training 3 evenings a week. Now, usually their first match of the year is against Slytherin, but this is the year that Draco gets gravely injured by Buckbeak, and he milks it so much that he gets Slytherin out of this nasty rainy game. So Gryffindor now has to play Hufflepuff for their first game. They have spent all preseason training for Slytherin, training for this to be their first game, and right before it gets switched out, and Wood is pissed, especially because the team doesn't really take it all that seriously. George makes a comment that, they beat Hufflepuff by so many points last time. Cedric Diggory is actually the new Seeker that year. Katie, Angelina, and Alicia all start swooning over Cedric Diggory. At this point, Wood gets really frustrated that the team isn't taking them seriously, that the Slytherins did this to throw them off of their game, and Wood is terrified that they are going to lose this game. Fast forward to the day of the match. Wood is he's not himself. He's solemn, he's grave, he's sitting at the breakfast table refusing to eat, and he's just like, This is going to be a tough one, guys. Like, he just is not his usual peppy self. Even in the locker room before this game, Wood has no words. He like goes to make a speech and he fumbles, he mumbles, he just kind of makes a couple noises, and then he just gives up and he's like, let's go. Let's do this. Let's get this over with. It is a nasty day. It is rainy. It is disgusting. Now, granted, Gryffindor trains in every weather, so they should be well and prepared for this. Hufflepuff comes out ready to play. Cedric Diggory is a fantastic seeker, and it really shows in this game. With only a few days to change game plans between Slytherin to Hufflepuff, Wood is chasing Harry down between classes to give him tips and tricks and all these things that like literally will not stop leaving Wood's mind. Like, he cannot stop thinking about this upcoming game, and because it's plaguing him, he's going to plague everybody else. So he is chasing Harry down between classes. He even makes Harry 10 minutes late to Lupin's class because he won't stop talking to him. And Harry's like running off from him, and Wood's still screaming what he should do and how his flying style should be and the tips on Cedric Diggory's flying style kind of stuff. Wood even finds him later in the day and he's like, yo, like, that's Cedric Diggory, like that big guy over there, that's Cedric. And Harry's like terrified because Cedric's a full-grown man and Harry's a child. They come out onto the game and the captains have to shake hands before every game. So Cedric and Wood have to shake hands. Cedric smiles. He's being very friendly, very cordial. Wood just looks at him. Like I said, it was a really nasty, awful day with the weather. It was rainy, it was windy, it was just gross outside. And because of Harry's glasses and all of that rain, he really couldn't see the snitch very well. Granted, they've been practicing in the rain, so I don't know why we didn't like have this conversation beforehand or this wasn't a problem already. But Harry couldn't really see the snitch during this game and he was having a really big issue. During one of their timeouts, Hermione actually sneaks down and is like, Harry, give me your glasses right now. She charms it to make the water repel off so that way he could look, and Wood is quoted as, it is quoted in the book in a descriptory line. Is descriptory even a word? In a descriptive line, it is quoted that Wood looked as if he could have kissed Hermione in that moment. He was so happy. Back on the field, Wood is watching the team from his position as keeper, and he sees Cedric going after the snitch. So he's screaming after Harry to go after Cedric. He's going after them. They're both neck and neck. Harry looks as if he's about to catch the snitch, and then And then the Dementors happen. Harry falls off of his broom. He hears his mother screaming. Cedric has no idea what's happened. He is not affected by the Dementors the same way Harry is. Harry is immediately off of his broom, gone. Unfortunately, Harry wakes up in the hospital a little while later with the whole team around him except Oliver Wood, who is quoted by George as saying he is still in the showers. They think he is trying to drown himself. Diggory caught the snitch. Oh, my cat's playing with his toy. I'm sorry, Bug. Don't mind me. My cat wants to play with his feather right now. Okay, anyway. After Harry passed out and fell off of his broom, Cedric actually caught the snitch. He saw Harry had fallen off of his broom. He immediately thought it wasn't fair. He tried to call it off. He tried to say he took it back, but even Wood agreed that he won fair and square, that he caught the snitch fair and square, and Hufflepuff won. At least Wood's a stickler for the rules, and he's not just going to be like, oh yeah, rematch, because Cedric was calling for a rematch. He could have gotten a rematch, but Wood cares about the rules. He cares about fairness, and he said Hufflepuff won fair and square, but he was devastated. Harry was still in the hospital, and Wood, the whole team, and this time Wood finally came to visit. Wood said he didn't blame him, but he did have a discussion like this can't happen again. So after Christmas break, Wood starts having conversation with Harry like, hey, I'm concerned about our next match. Is this gonna happen again? Like, what are you doing to keep it from happening? Wood sounds like he is ready and prepared to cut Harry from the team and look for another seeker if Harry can't handle this, because he wants to win that badly. Now, mind you, Dumbledore's pissed. The Dementors should not be anywhere near any of this right now, so nobody should be coming anywhere close to the Quidditch pitch again. But Wood's incredibly concerned. So Harry is updating him on his lessons with Lupin, and Wood kind of pressuring him was really Harry's reasoning for like, hey, Lupin, I really need to do these lessons. I need to be able to play in a Quidditch match if this happens again. As the Quidditch season is going on, Ravenclaw versus Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw wipes the floor with Hufflepuff, and Wood's manic energy is back and better than ever. He starts working the team harder than ever. He starts training. He is excited. He is peppy again. He is ready for their next game. Everybody goes home for the holidays and comes back to Hogwarts, and the night before term starts, that's when Wood pulls Harry aside and has the conversation with him in the common room about what he's doing with his training sessions with Lupin and doing better about the Dementors this term. In this conversation, Wood finds out that Harry did get a firebolt for Christmas, but when he finds out that it was turned into Professor McGonagall, he goes pale. He cannot believe what he's hearing. He's like, I'm gonna talk to her. I've got this, I'll handle this. Like, I'm gonna go talk to Professor McGonagall. We can't let this happen. You have to have a broom. Because after Harry fell off of his broom, when the Dementors happened, his broom went to the Whomping Willow and it got destroyed. He needed a new one. He had yet to order one. He had gotten this one for Christmas, actually from Sirius, but nobody knew that yet. And it's actually a really cute story how Sirius got Crookshanks to help him put in the order. And we'll talk about that another day because I love that story. But anyway, so Wood goes off to talk to Professor McGonagall about the broom, and she is not having it. She is like, you really care more about winning this match than Harry's safety? To quote Wood, just told her I didn't care if it threw you off as long as you caught the snitch first. And then he goes, by the way she was yelling at me, you would think I said something terrible. Like, what? You did. She's literally like, as long as he catches the snitch, like, he can fall to his death? What? The day after their practice is their game against Ravenclaw, and they are ready to go. Wood just says, fly like you did yesterday, and we've got this game. Very quickly into the game, Harry realizes that Cho isn't even looking for the snitch. She's just following him. So he starts zigging and zagging and dragging her all over the field. With some wonderful flying techniques, Harry does catch the snitch and wins the game against Ravenclaw, and Wood just goes flying around screaming, that's my boy, that's my boy, that's my boy. Also, during the Ravenclaw game, while Harry is trying to chase down the snitch, a couple of the Slytherin guys, Draco, Crabbe, Goyle, and Marcus Flint all dress up as Dementors and try to fake Harry off. So they dress up as Dementors. Draco's on Crabbe's shoulders, or he's on one of their shoulders to try and look all big and scary. Harry successfully casts a Patronus at them, continues flying, and catches the snitch. So that is why it is such a big deal about Harry catching the snitch in this moment, because it puts Gryffindor back in the running. Harry successfully protected himself, even though it wasn't actually against Dementors, but he finds that out later, and Slytherin gets in really big trouble. Because Gryffindor won their game against Ravenclaw, they are back in the running. And if they beat Slytherin, and not just beat Slytherin, if they beat Slytherin, great, fine, dandy, wonderful. They beat Slytherin, great. However, if they get certain number of points in this game against Slytherin, they will beat them for the House Cup. So this is they're still in the running. Wood is going crazy because of this win, they are still in the running, and the team is ecstatic. They are celebrating in the common room. They are having the best time. They are living up this glory. But it's a little short-lived because the pressure of Gryffindor versus Slytherin has pretty much taken over the school. It has taken over classes. It has taken over every day. Wood tasks the Gryffindor team to follow, or not just the team, the entire Gryffindor house to follow Harry everywhere, because the Slytherins won't stop trying to trip him or injure him in between classes or day to day. So Harry can't go anywhere without a gaggle of Gryffindors around him protecting him. Once again, Wood is chasing Harry down between classes, badgering him all day long. He keeps telling him, we have to have 50 points on the board before you can catch the snitch. You can't catch the snitch until we're up by 50 points. So you have to watch that. You can't let them catch it, but you can't catch it too early, but you have to catch it as soon as we get 50 points up. So that way we win, so they don't score again, and then we don't lose, and then we lose the cup, but win the game. Wood repeats this to Harry so many times that Harry just snaps. He goes, I know, Oliver, in the middle of the corridor. But this doesn't stop Wood from continuing to badger everybody about this game. You know, McGonagall and Snape are biting their nails down, waiting for this game to start. The night before the game rolls around, and you could just see Wood in the common room, hunched over this display of the field, moving around players, muttering to himself, just like playing out every scenario for the game the next day. Like, he is just racking his mind for anything and everything that he could think of for what they'll need to do the next day against Slytherin. It is match day. Oliver Wood is not eating breakfast, but you can damn be sure he is making everybody else on the team eat breakfast. Wood and Flint shake hands to start the game, and it looks like they're literally trying to break each other's fingers in this handshake. Like, this is going to be a nasty game. In the beginning of this game, Wood has it as a shutout. Gryffindor is up by 30 points, Slytherin is 0. Unfortunately, they do end up scoring a few here and there, and it's a bit of a back and forth as they're trying to wait and hope that they can get 50 points ahead of Slytherin. It's after Katie scores that Fred and George are circling her, protecting her from any bludgers and the other Slytherin players because they are nasty today. While Fred and George are preoccupied protecting Katie, that Slytherin takes the opportunity to send both bludgers hurtling at Oliver Wood's stomach, nearly knocking him off his broom, but he stays on and he keeps playing. Madam Hooch is furious when she sees this, and she gets on to everybody about penalties. We all know I am an emotional person, and certain things make me cry, and it might not always make sense to everybody, but I understand this feeling, and this makes me cry when I read this part in the book, so I'm sorry about my emotions right now. After a very hard game, Gryffindor finally gets up by 50 points. Harry and Malfoy are neck and neck for this snitch. Harry is going after it. Malfoy grabs him by the broom. He actually grabs his broom and tries to hold on to him like if you're on a skateboard and you hook onto the back of a car and the car drags you. That's what Malfoy is trying to do. But he's also kind of trying to throw Harry off a little bit. Again, Madam Hooch is furious. She's like, I have never in my life seen anything like this. Professor McGonagall is so angry that she's not even stopping Jordan from saying whatever crazy shit he's saying on the microphone speaker and the commentary and everything. So even McGonagall is so angry and upset by this that she knocks her hat off. She is screaming so much. The game goes, Harry is after the snitch, he catches the snitch. Wood is flying after him, blinded by tears. The team is going crazy. McGonagall is sobbing beside herself. Everybody is just so happy. Oliver Wood has finally won himself a house cup, and Professor McGonagall can rub it in Snape's face. We end Prisoner of Azkaban on a beautiful, happy, wonderful note. We are all incredibly hopeful. We're not going to talk about the other things that are happening in that book. We're only going to talk about Quidditch. Moving on to Goblet of Fire. Because there's a Triwizard Tournament, there is no Quidditch this year. But we do have a mention of Oliver Wood in this book because Harry, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, Harry meets Wood's parents at the Quidditch World Cup again. And was just like, hey, Harry, oh my God, Harry, it's me, Wood. These are my parents. And by the way, I made it on Puddlemore's reserve team. I'm playing professional Quidditch, super excited. That's then, the story just moves on to Harry meeting other people at the tournament. In Order of the Phoenix, we do not have any direct conversation or interaction with Oliver Wood. However, Angelina Johnson is the new Quidditch captain, and she consistently refers to Wood as being like, oh man, maybe we were a little hard on him. This is a lot harder than I thought, Half-Blood Prince has absolutely zero mention of our sweet Oliver Wood, but rest assured, he did return with Angelina and a couple of the other Gryffindors from that year with their call to the Order to help in the final battle for Hogwarts. We do believe that Oliver Wood survived the final battle because his name was not mentioned in the Fallen 50, and the really only mention of him during the battle is when when he's helping Neville carry bodies back into the Great Hall. And he carries Colin Creevy's body. And that is the last thing that we know canon about Oliver Wood. We do not know for sure who he married. There are some fan theories that he married Penelope Clearwater, who did not marry Percy Weasley. There's no canon information on who he married, where he went after. We assume he went back to his professional Quidditch career. We assume he got married and had children and had enough children to run his own Quidditch team in his own burrow somewhere out in the woods. I don't know, that's what I choose to believe. He got married, he moved out to the woods with trees tall enough that his 7 children could all play Quidditch together. Yeah, that's what I choose to believe. Make up whatever you want, because nothing is known. That's it. So, yeah, Oliver Wood is as crazy as the memes make him out to be, without a doubt. Those memes are honestly some of my favorite ones to come across the internet for me. I really enjoy them. They're like 85% of the memes that I see. I know everybody else really enjoys them. I hope you really enjoyed the contextual background of these memes and that they really do have validity, and Oliver Wood really was that fucking crazy. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be posting every Sunday. I do also post on TikTok, so go hang out with me there during the week. Thank you so much for your love and support. This has literally been like my dream come true. I've had so much fun making these videos. This is my Oliver. If you would like to meet Oliver, this is Oliver right here. But this is my Oliver, not Oliver Wood.